is gonna be a EGR block-off plate install on any Acura and Honda setup. Mine's located right here. Might be a little hard to see. So if I bend this bitch out, it's right there. You can see I have already one bolt's loose right here, and you got one connector located right there on the top. Pretty much, you gotta get those loose. It'll be 2 bolts and 2 12mm bolts, and then pretty much the connector, and have connected. I personally feel like the connector or the washers that came from P2R didn't fit that well, so I went to Home Depot, picked up some 8mm washers. They seem to fit a little bit better. They also fit inside the P2R a lot cleaner, and they look a little blander, but they're gonna work just as well, I feel like, just because they fit so loose. This is gonna be how I bring it a little closer in here. EGR valve for a 2009 Acura or / Honda. It's gonna be a replacement of this piece and this EGR. It's gonna be right there. It should come with new gaskets. So the P2R version comes with a new gasket and comes with a plate, so we're just gonna go ahead and block it off. And pretty much all you need to do is just set it in there, and then I'm gonna be reusing the OEM bolts because it looks like you're gonna need a head stud remover to remove those ones out. So I'm not gonna even bother, but just throw them right back on. Actually, I have to wash it on them just to even out that pressure when I do torque them, tighten them down. And then you can zip tie this connector right off to the side because you're probably not going to use it. You can always disconnect it or cut it out, but if you always want to reuse it, you can always just zip tie it and then just come back to it later. It should save about a couple pounds and give you a couple horsepower for show. This is my EGR valve. I'm pretty sure it's the stock one. It is a 2009, so give or take about 14 years old. EGR valve is specifically made to reduce NOx, I believe nitrous oxide, released into the air. So this will recirculate exhaust gases through the intake system in order to create an efficient or more efficient engine, at least for your combustion chamber. And removing this can cause high compression or whatnot. At least I read on some forums. I might be incorrect, but at least for this little small one, it's a tiny little fucker. And like, I don't really even know how this shit works, but yeah, I guess that's it. But yeah, pretty much, I believe this guy was getting clogged on my car, so had to swap her out. And the finished look should be pretty much like this right here. This is going to be on my 2009 Acura TL. It might be a little bit slightly different location on each vehicle, but I believe this is very similar build, or at least similar install for most Hondas and Acuras. This is going to be for the J35, so I believe this comes in the Odyssey and whatnot, so a couple other cars that might have the same build. Did one pull with it. Besides that, can't really tell too much if it made it much faster. Granted, if I had a bad EGR valve, that would have reduced horsepower. So could have, might have gained a couple horsepower, at most being 8. I feel like you can't really feel that much, honestly, not with a butt dyno, obviously. But it feels a little like it woke her up. Nevertheless, for about $50, $45, it's a pretty good install little guy for clearing up a little bit of space. Hopefully it'll run a little bit cooler. I'll have to drive it a little bit more to really tell you. But for the most part, it looks real good on there. And it seems pretty clean. Besides that, YouTube, I'm out.